Hey everybody, I'm your host Felipe and this is the Basement Crawl Podcast. No Katie today, but I do have a good buddy of mine, Austin. Austin, say hi to everybody over there. You can use your voice. So even though last episode with Katie, she was not filming from a basement, so I guess Austin decided to take the reins on that one. What's going on, Austin? You got your own murder basement over there, huh?
This is all I get. This is the only room I can have my stuff.
So for those who missed Katie's murder basement last time, Austin got you covered tonight. So Austin's a good buddy of mine. He's the biggest movie buff I know. Austin, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I went to school for film, got my degree in cinema and photography, and then now I'm a pipe fitter. So I'm not using that career at all or my degree, but I still watch movies as often as I can, and I am pretty opinionated when it comes to what I like and what I know. I don't know everything. 100%. I don't know. I haven't seen everything. But what I have a strong opinion about, and I like talking about movies and film. I like arguing, but I also like discussing more.
What would be like your favorite movie of all time, so people have an idea as to what kind of
Monday through Sunday, it's going to be Cashback.
Cash?
All time. Correct.
What's
Every
that?
day of the week. That's my favorite movie.
Who's that with? Who directs it? Who stars in it?
Ben, I can't remember his name. This guy, he made a short years ago, and then they actually let him make a feature film. It's great. I don't know. It's got time travel in it. It's like a love story. It hits me on every single level, and it's actually really, some of the shots are some of my favorite shots I've ever seen in film.
Oh, and it's called Cashback?
Yes, Cashback. You should be able to stream it. I think it was on Netflix prior. I don't know where it is now. It's out there. It's available.
All right. I think this is it from 2006. Oh, it's that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The grocery store movie.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I've seen that before. I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen like that movie poster, that actress. Okay, so this is a movie directed by Sean Ellis.
Yeah, Sean Ellis. That's right. And his name has been in the movie. Sorry.
And I'm just trying to figure out who stars in it because I'm kind of curious as to who these people are. Oh, here's the cast. Emilia Fox, Sean Biggerstaff.
He was Cedric Diggory in the Harry Potter films. That was like the only thing that he really did past that. Okay. The director and main character.
So check that film out. It's from 2006, directed by Sean Ellis, starring Emilia Fox, Sean Biggerstaff, Michelle Ryan, so on and so forth. I can always depend on you for an obscure movie reference, and that's what I appreciate about you. But today we're going to talk about the impending doom that is the coronavirus. That seems to be the only thing people are talking about. We can't deny it. We can't escape it. It's getting worse and worse as the day goes on. And so we're going to discuss it a little bit in terms of entertainment and media. I, for one, as always, came prepared with, you guessed it, a PowerPoint presentation. So there I am. And today's theme is top 5 songs that best personifies this COVID-19 pandemic. So it's not going to be music. I think what we're going to do is we're going to, since I already worked on this thing and I want to, use it to my full advantage, just going to display some of the lyrics I have in front here. And then we're going to extrapolate, see if I can pick Austin's brain, see what connections he makes to movies, films, entertainment, and the bigger world that is around us. Let's see here. And Donny is still on his way, so we're waiting on him. So let's just get going without him. The first one is Bad Religion. As you may or may not know, Bad Religion is my favorite band of all time. Probably, most likely it is. I'm 90% sure they are. They are the Thinking Man's punk rock band, and they have a song called We're All Only Gonna Die, which seems to be like anyone can think about. Like, we're this far away from dying, you know what I mean? Here are the lyrics. Early man walked away as modern man took control. Their mind weren't all the same. To conquer was his goal. So he built his great empire and slaughtered his own kind. Then he died a confused man. Killed himself with his own mind. The lyrics repeat 3 times because there's 3 verses. which I'm not a big fan of that, Austin. I hate when bands do that. I think it's a cop-out. But because this song is cyclical in nature, it's like you know, lather, rinse, repeat. Humans are always going to do this to each other, and they're all going to die from their own arrogance. Arrogance, sorry, not angst, but arrogance. What do you think about that, Austin? Off to a great start?
Yeah, I love it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Nine Inch Nails fan, so I mean, I can get down to somebody saying the same lyric over and over and over and over and over again. That's all right with me. Died a confused man, killed himself with his own mind. I feel like, I don't know. There's just so many people that are in all these movies that I have written down. A lot of them are derivative of zombie films. I feel like that's just a huge contagion issue. That's a big problem. Especially with what was one that I was going to say? The Crazies. So that's a movie about containment. That's a huge. 2010 they remade the film. I apologize. I have kids in the house. They're probably going to be loud. Hey guys, do you guys mind going upstairs? Crazy. So what happens is there's something that comes into the town. Hey guys, can you go upstairs, please?
My mommy said come down here.
No, go upstairs. Thanks. There's something that happens. So there is it's actually, I think they say that it's chimps that caused the problem, that got sick, and then there's like a plane that crashes into their water source and causes everybody to go crazy and start killing everybody. It's a virus that kills, right? And so with that, when you're saying that he died a confused man, killed himself with his own mind, these people, they start getting this sickness, and all they do is kill. They kill everything and everyone around them, and that's the containment, and that's the problem. The government, it's actually kind of cool. There's often shots of how from like outer space or like a surveillance footage of them watching the town and trying to play this out and trying to contain that entire area, which is almost like cabin fever. They do that a little bit at the end with the water. That's a big thing. And then Rise of the Planet of the Apes, that was my derivative of the chimp problem, that they say that's where the sickness comes from. But that is another film that has to do with a virus and containment and killing of yourself. It's your mind that just goes insane and you just start killing. So their minds were all the same. To conquer was his goal. This was a government created virus that accidentally got put into an area by an accident, and now everybody's killing themselves. And
with all this talk about how it's airborne, like the current one, the COVID-19 virus, it's airborne and stuff, I'm surprised that I haven't seen any, like me personally, I haven't seen anything about, is our water supply okay? Is it something that can be transmitted through our water supply, our fresh water, our rivers? It's already bad enough that the ocean tide, or the ocean levels are rising, and we're running out of fresh water. Fresh water is needed for human consumption and survival. And I just kind of thought about it as you were talking about that movie, The Crazies. I wonder if current state of affairs as we are right now, I wonder if we're susceptible to that danger. But when I think about slaughter his own kind, he killed himself with his own mind, I also think about zombie movies as well. Like, you become a zombie and your mind just ceases to exist. The person you thought you were, or the person you thought that was in front of you, is no longer the same person. It's a different being. I also think about dementia. I do work in the medical industry. I mean, not directly, but I do work in that industry nonetheless. And dementia is like a prevalent thing as well. I always thought that. Let me ask you something, since we're talking about The Walking Dead, or since I brought up The Walking Dead, Austin. Let me tell you, you know what I'm talking about, The Walking Dead TV show.
yeah.
Let me ask you something. You ever think that when you think about The Walking Dead, do you think it's an allegory to a real disease, like a real sickness? Because after watching that, I kept thinking that it's about people who get Alzheimer's or dementia. Did you have any disease association with that show?
I kind of, yeah, I hear what you're saying, to where they're kind of like marked off and they're their own thing that we basically just have to. I mean, they're walking people that can't do basic things for themselves. I guess sometimes, depending on the level, the severity of it. I know that my grandmother died of Alzheimer's to the point where she forgot how to breathe. Like that's kind of heavy. But I see what you're saying, and it's kind of funny that you bring that up because in the original, not the original, but the most recent Planet of the Apes remake, he's making a James Franco, his character, is making some type of medicine to help his dad who has Alzheimer's.
Oh, wow.
And that is the same thing that he's testing on the apes, which becomes mutated and starts killing everyone because it becomes a mutated virus that people cannot live through. And that starts that whole thing. So it's kind of funny that you're bringing up dementia, which is, I mean, it's just another form of Alzheimer's. Hey, Don, how's it going?
Hey, Donny, can you hear us? Can you talk?
Yeah, can you guys see me?
I can see you. I can hear you. Yes. Can you see well, it doesn't matter, but.
I see the bad religion thing.
Yes, that's all I cared about. As long as you can see that, I'm okay. I don't care about anything else. Donny, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Celebrating St. Patty's Day, Chicago Bulls style.
Yeah.
All the way out here by myself. I went for a hike because that's one of the few social distancing things you can do. And there was still like 40 people holding hands. It's what is wrong with you? But yeah, so just trying to.
Really quick comments are on board. Apparently, according to my buddy Matt Bushnell, the disease is not transmitted through water, only mucus. And our fearless leader, Henry Maldonado, says hi. Hi, Henry. Hi. Donny, we were just getting done talking about The Walking Dead. I don't know how much you got to listen there, but we were just trying to relate these lyrics to anything entertainment, any movies, anything to what's going on with the coronavirus, the pandemic, and all that. Do you have any thoughts to share with us? Well, first and foremost, go ahead and reintroduce yourself, Donny. I don't think we did this right. Go ahead and tell people why you're so important to us here.
Yeah, well, I because everybody's busy right now, probably. But I am a writer, screenwriter out in LA, but I also work in TV production. Just got done with The Bachelor, the live specials, and then was going to go over to American Idol and do audience coordinating, but that might not be a thing. Still working it out, but yeah, so I am tuned in TV, film, and music. Felipe, with you, I saw a couple Thrice concerts. I leaned
awesome
rock and roll. But, rock is dying, so, now I'm just going to have to get into, whisper pop and, like, trap music. I guess, I'm going to be 36 and get into stuff like that because nobody's going to make rock music anymore. But, yeah.
What Thrice concert? Were you at the one with Me Without You?
I just went to that one. There, the Vishu 15-year anniversary one. The ones I went with Felipe, that was years ago, early 2011. Yeah, during the World Series game, insane game.
Till this day, that's one of my favorite nights of all time. Hanging out with you that night, going to the Thrice concert, going to see Dustin perform live at Wrigley Field, and then running back and forth between the parking lot and the bar that was showing the
bar.
Series.
Yeah, and man, that's how you know it's special when it's a team neither team I cared about, right? But still, I mean, wanted the Cardinals to lose. Wow.
Wait, Austin, you're a Cardinals fan, right?
Oh no,
I'm not a baseball fan, but when I did watch, I always rooted for the Cardinals. Yes.
But even worse than that, Donny, he's a Cowboys fan too. So
I will defend that every day.
There's a lot out in LA. I've met a lot of people because they didn't have a football team here for so long.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of people who just they'll be Lakers, Dodgers, and then randomly Broncos, and so it's really weird to see the allegiance out here.
Give Jerry Jones credit. He saw a market inefficiency, and for many years, I don't know if he still does it. Austin, you can probably tell me if this is true or not. But for many years, he would have the Dallas Cowboys do training camp in California, and
oh really?
that's how you get Cowboys fans in California. So I don't know if he's still doing that or not, because now you got 3 California teams, but for a long time there was barely even one, let alone Los Angeles team. Sorry. So yeah, but at any rate, I mean, since we're talking about sports, the reason that we're doing this emergency podcast about the coronavirus is because I don't know about you guys, but our bread and butter is the sports groups, especially the baseball one, and it just feels like the air just has been taken out of with the lack of sports, and the season was just around the corner, and then it's not even starting anytime soon. Yeah. So I figured, well, I have some free time today, might as well do a Basement Crawl podcast with anybody at this point, and I found you two guys. So I want to first and foremost thank you for joining us and coming on board and talking some entertainment and talking about this viral. I mean, this virus has literally gone viral at this point. So without further ado, let's move on to the next song, which is fucking Slayer. Song called Epidemic, of course, because who better than to assist us with making sense of this crazy world that we live in than the fucking band Slayer. And here are the lyrics: unyielding kings of agony, test your body chemistry, pulmonary overthrow. Pulmonary, that's where it gets you, right? The virus is overthrowing your lungs. Possession of your inner throne. Yeah, I mean, some people say the brain is the most important body, but if you can't breathe, you're not really living, are you? Infections quickly override. Hell yeah, it does. Malicious domineering strike. Floods your veins, commit slow death. Deteriorate your maker's net. Perpetual demise. Yeah, once it gets you, your chances of, the older you are, the chances that you will die. Let's just be honest. On a fast decline, yes. Killing tendency. Epidemic, permanent disease. Because from what I've been hearing, these diseases leave long-lasting effects, unfortunately. So that's why I picked this song. And like we talked about The Walking Dead, once you become a zombie, you're a zombie for life. Donny, you have any thoughts on that?
On The Walking Dead, once you're a zombie?
Or the lyrics in general, just what are your 2 cents on that?
Yeah, these are, I mean, I remember when September 11th happened, and like we're still on AIM chat, like AOL, AIM Instant Messenger. Yeah. And everybody was like posting these like, oh, Nostradamus, he basically said like 2 towers will hit, like the kingdom will fall or whatever. So whenever there's times like this, like I love reading into stuff more than, like, this is probably just a direct song that, like, I mean, their words per usual are very colorful, and I think that's something underrated about a band like that, and I think metal music in general, where it's like, I mean, when it's like the Cookie Monster vocals, they could be saying anything and no one knows, but this of like, I recently have been reading. I'm ashamed to say this, but I read 1984 for the first time not too long ago. Right, because Felipe, we went to the same school. They didn't make us read that. Nobody was like, hey, learn this thing of like classic literature. And it's changed everything for me. Now I look at Rage Against the Machine and I'm like, oh yeah, you're like that book, but as a band, which is maybe a little unfair to them. But when I see stuff like this, I mean, like, it's important for bands like Slayer and everybody to paint this picture of like, yeah, this can all come crashing down and everything we're like engaged in could be disrupted. And so I think songs like this, looking at it now, it's like, yeah, maybe I should have cared this much about. I never even thought about epidemics or pandemics before,
It's funny because we've had our fair share, as many people say, we survived SARS, we survived the flu virus, we survived this. And people are still kind of doing a nonchalant attitude towards it. Austin, why don't you share your thoughts on this whole ordeal here?
Just the song. Dude, I love the lyrics. They're super rad. Brutal. Perpetual demise on fast decline, killing tendency, epidemic, permanent disease. I like the idea of it's a permanent disease. So especially with, COVID-19, or coronavirus, they're saying that there is no cure. So for a lot of people, that it could be a permanent disease. It could just be death. It could stay dormant inside of you. And obviously it's an epidemic. Everybody's freaking out. Get yourself a couple rolls of toilet paper if you have a chance.
Jesus, yeah.
But I like the idea of commit slow death. I mean, I feel like that this is something that in a lot of films, a lot of the older zombie movies, like the earlier ones where it was like this slow coming on of a death where, like you're watching your favorite character that just got bit and you're like, oh shoot, they're about to die. Like, I know that, was it Snyder that redid, the zombie film, what's it called, where they're in the mall?
Oh, Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead. So that one where you're watching the woman, the guy, his wife who's pregnant, he's like slowly watching her turn and change. And I think that's interesting to where we do that with characters that we care about in film, and that we show that change to where like 28 Days Later or The Walking Dead, both of those movies and shows start out with somebody waking up into a problem, right? Like 28 Days Later, that the first thing is he's woken up into this like dystopian, what just happened? When the zombies in that movie, they hired athletes to play them, to charge, to give you that like, oh my gosh, they're coming at you, almost like World War Z when they're just pummeling over each other, climbing that wall. So it's kind of funny to see, like, to think of this as a slow death. Where did I take that from? Perpetual demise, permanent disease, to where this is something that, like, these diseases and these problems, these epidemic movies of, zombieism or whatever virus you want to say, is everything's just crashing in around people. And I think it's kind of fun to think of how do these people get out of that? Like, there's other movies, I Am Legend, or like World War Z, where
hold that thought.
I'm
save
sorry.
that for the other three. No, but we got 3 more songs. I would like for you to kind of extrapolate a bit. Don't blow your whole load right away here. I just have a quick question for Donny. Donny,
does it transfer by blowing a full? Yeah.
Well, my question for you, Donny, was what do you think you can? Austin mentioned dystopian society. Do you think you can survive in a dystopian society, Donny? Living out in La La Land over there?
Yeah, I think the like natural feel, like I've even had this where it's like the fear is worse, like until you have it, it's all just fear, right? Like fear is almost like a pre-symptom you get. And, a lot of times with like anything like a market crashing or dystopian future, it's like in my head, I just want to be like, man, it is just easier to join the side of power. And like, like even like a movie like They Live, I remember watching it as a kid. And like at one point I just wanted Rowdy Piper to like join them and just like end the struggle. I mean, obviously that wouldn't be a very good movie, but just join it because it's scary fighting against something that like seems to be growing. And I think lyrics like this, just sort of let you know how it'll consume you. And that's what, I mean, like even if you test negative right now, the fear of all of it's consuming our lives, so.
Yeah, it's making us buy more toilet paper than what we need so far.
I Googled, it takes, one roll is like 18 days. But yeah.
18 days later. It's the prequel to 28 Days Later.
That's a short film for sure. Like right. Yeah, that's a great short film where like it's just like a guy only has 18 days and you show a little ticker how many days toilet paper, and then on the 19th day he has to go out. Right, that's a movie that I'm gonna write. That's
I'll watch that.
Well, okay. All right, so the first song, the Bad Religion song, We're All Gonna Die, that just the cyclical nature of humankind. We just saw the lyrics to the Slayer song, which, Epidemic. I mean, we see the visceral way that this disease or diseases can take over the host body. This is Lagwagon's album, Hoss, with the song literally called Sick, which I felt like it was pretty appropriate because, you know, this is kind of an individual way. If I were to take the lyrics at their literal worth, this would be, you know, I'm imagining that this is about a person who's actually going through the process of trying to heal himself, or I'm pretty sure there's more allegory to this than I imagined, but I'm gonna take these lyrics at literal face value. So here it goes. I keep this room, and this room keeps me chained to my organs. I am quarantined, huh? There's a key word right there, quarantine. To a place that's dark, staring at three walls, the door is locked behind me. If I say it again, can I kill it? Because they're sick of my complaining, and I am sick of being sick. Maybe these will cure you completely, chemicals deeply. That's the medicine, right? Saviors until you're dependent. Don't let them go to your head. I'm ashamed to mention my anguish, but silence lies empty. Silence lies. I like the lyrics about the medicine. Again, just taking that literal face value. Sometimes you talk about how you grow dependent on medicine, like because your immune system can no longer battle the diseases that's inside you. So you gotta use external factors to kind of balance you out. But also in terms of like pain medications, where people definitely we just had another pandemic last year, right? The opioid pandemic, where people were so highly dependent on those heavy duty drugs for the pain that people were dying left and right, and they were calling that a pandemic, although it's more of a slow burn than something that's fast acting. Donny, why don't we start with you? Thoughts on this song and how you can extrapolate that to entertainment and real life issues that are going on right now.
Yeah, well, that's funny actually that you said that. I don't know if I told you, I have a script about the opioid epidemic. It's like a dark comedy about it. I don't know if I mentioned it the last time I was on.
Might as well mention it now. Go ahead.
No, I know, it's intense. So I literally we've been working on it for 2.5 years, and the last year and a half I've just like done so much research on it and how it is. I mean, it's not different from what's going on now. And so our hope is to what we're showing is a less like dingy side of it, where it's like somebody gets injured and then they just start taking opioids because they never dealt with emotional trauma or, some of their issues, and then showing how that like slowly then pops up and then you can't get the horse back in the barn. And it's very similar with this, and like seeing these lyrics, it's like you don't realize how close we were to this tipping point of it until it sort of happened. And yeah, I've never listened to this band, but I've always, like everybody else I know, has listened to them. So it's a great album cover.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, this is the back cover of the album, by the way. This is the back cover. I couldn't find the front cover, but I think this is Austin, you probably know, but this is what is it, a Magnificent Seven or one of those old timey westerns?
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks like it, like a Boss Hog or somebody.
Yeah.
It's super cool. Good for them.
It's from 1995, from Santa Barbara, California. They're a part of your neck of the woods over there, Donny.
Yeah. Well, this is what I mean, and this is like any film where it's like, even if you remove the face level, like you're saying, the feeling of being like, even if inside your own head and you're in your room, like it sounds like chained to my organs, like it sounds like a struggle of being connected, like in your own body and not being able to move free, which like there's dozens of film examples like that. That's pretty good. I would. This band is a lot deeper than I thought.
Yeah, they're the skater band. They're the band that skaters listen to. So there's really, they don't get the credit that they deserve. But I've been listening to this band since forever now, and I absolutely love them. They came out with a new album last year. It's pretty damn good. If they're ever in Chicago, I'd probably go see them live, even though I'm like kind of a gimpy old man at this point. I have bad joints, bad knees, bad shoulders, my neck, my back, okay. Austin, hey. Your thoughts on this whole ordeal, on this segment here?
One of the lyrics I really, really like is "Saviors until you're dependent."
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I mean, obviously, it's talking about it says, maybe these will cure you completely, chemicals deeply. So they're talking about the drugs that are your saviors, right? They're taking you away from that pain or that problem that you're in. But now you become dependent on what was saving you. So I mean, the evil reverses and kind of takes over in a different face. No,
by the way, this is from Haas is from Bonanza. I had to look it up.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I see Haas and I'm like, I don't know who that is. But yeah, that's kind of cool. I like the idea that what we were, like the cure that we needed now is not the cure that we needed then isn't the cure now. It's that's now mutated into the problem.
Members of the cure.
Yeah, I think that I can't remember exactly, but there's a Simpsons episode where Bart harvests these eggs, and he thinks they're bird eggs, and they turn out to be some lizard eggs, and they're like, we can't kill these lizards. We've got to use X to kill them, like venomous snakes. And they're like, how are we going to get rid of the snakes? And they're like, oh, we use these birds that are killing it. How are we going to get rid of it? And it just keeps escalating to the point where, like, what was originally going to solve them from the smaller problem is now becoming an even worse problem, to where I think they just, like, have to die by, like a snowstorm or something. Like, they just basically, like, there is no way out except for just killing everybody. So I think it's kind of fun.
I was going to say, I worked at a pharmacy before, and a mail order pharmacy. Sorry, not a pharmacy retail, but mail order. There's a difference. And we used to ship out boxes of medicine per month for one patient all the time. Per patients, multiple patients would get big boxes of medications, and most of the time, those medications, not to speak ill of the, of the medications themselves, but a lot of them were to kind of subside the side effects of the main medication that they were taking for that was the initial problem to all the ailments that these people had. So they had to take a medication for this thing and for this side effect, and a medication for that side effect, and a medication for this other side effect, and it just next thing you know, you go from 2 medications to like 10 medications a month. So it's kind of interesting that you mentioned that Simpsons episode. I want to remember what that episode was, and I wonder if that's the one where, no, it can't be that one. I was going to say when they went to Australia, but it can't be that one. So that's that. So yeah, even the medications themselves are kind of harmful at this point. I mean, they're saying that it's going to take a while for the vaccine to hit the market. They're talking about maybe next year for the current coronavirus. They're already testing they're doing test trials right now, but don't hold your breath for it. Just, well, I don't know. They're saying that people recover, so we'll see. I don't know how they're recovering. Is it like a flu? But from what I'm hearing, people can recover unless you're at a certain age or you have so many ailments and diseases that you're just a lost cause at that point. So we move on to the next one. It's Deltron 3030
Yes.
Virus. Literally, the song is called Virus. I thought this was appropriate for.
What a good album.
Oh, I absolutely love this album. This is for a long time, you guys, I did not listen to any hip hop. This is one of those albums, like years later after I listened to it, that got me, okay, maybe there's still some good hip hop out there. I just got to dig a little deeper for it, and a little deeper, and a little deeper. Donny, you ever hear this album before in its entirety?
I've never even heard of this at all, which is embarrassing. But yeah, so they're hip hop?
Hip hop, yeah, from California, to your neck of the woods.
Oh man, well, it's a good thing work is shutting down for 2 months, so I can have time to listen to these albums.
But yeah, Austin, you said you listened to this album, right?
Dude, it's been a while. One of my buddies was playing it incessantly when I lived with him a few years back, and it's just always kind of been in the background. But yeah, I do remember a few songs and being like, what is this? Like the whole idea of the concept album. Like as a story, it's super cool, man. It's
From what I remember, it's about a mech soldier, a mechanization soldier. So they're not even fighting battles themselves. It's the idea that robots are fighting wars, but you still need humans to kind of maintain those robots. Whatever. It's another Simpsons quote, by the way. Compliments of you, Austin. So yeah, it's basically it's the future, and instead of this guy retires from military service, so he goes and does rap battles. I guess it's been a while since I read up on it, but it's a really good album, great story. And this song called Virus, this one maybe I'm really asking you guys to take a literal sense of these words here, because obviously when you get done reading the lyrics, they're not talking about the virus that we're talking about. So I want to devise a virus to bring dire straits to your environment, crush your corporations with a mild touch, trash your whole computer system and revert you to papyrus. I want to make a super virus strong enough to cause blackouts in every single metropolis, cause they don't want to unify us. So fuck it. total anarchy, and can't nobody stop us. So what Donny mentioned, this kind of reminded me of Rage Against the Machine, but obviously they're talking about a computer virus. But the virus itself, even if we were to take the lyrics at face value, it took a virus to kind of dismantle our infrastructure, to dismantle our very carefully manicured system that we have in place here to maintain the society. And now they're talking about what do you call it? Quarantines and lockdowns and stay home, don't go out, shut down everything. Donny, we'll start again with you. Any takes on this?
Yeah, again, because I'm a 13-year-old who just read 1984 for the first time, I think the idea of, all of this is really scary, right? Because right now it's just get the information, fruit, facts, truth, all that, before going off the deep end, and my head's already running. It's like, cool, well, what if they're like, maybe we'll do lockdown until November, and then you have to so it's a little scary seeing that once the light was shined and showing how compromised almost every branch of government and infrastructure is, how we're not actually, with the exception of the military, really ready to handle something on this scale. And I think it is, but I am hopeful in that showing how everything is kind of not where it should be could lead to progress and should lead to progress. And the next time, next year, if there's a flu with a higher mortality rate, at least we now, we understand how devastating this can be. And it is going to be important to shore up those, that infrastructure. So, and I quote of Deltron 3030, it's not total anarchy, and we can stop it. So that's the hope.
Austin, any takeaways from your side of things?
Just because the girls in my house, the 5-year-old girls, cannot stop singing Old Town Road. Can't nobody stop us. Just immediately trigger that for me. I'm sorry. But I do like the idea that it says trash your whole computer system and revert you to papyrus. Crush our corporations with a mild touch. Instead of a Midas touch, or whatever type of it's mild, but it would still crush us. Almost like a Fight Club at the end, where all the
was just gonna say that,
right? Go down, and then you're like, dude, what are we gonna do? We're back down to zero. All the all the debt is down to zero, and we're talking right now where they're dropping the debts and all the huge crashes. They have to keep stopping the stock market because it hits 10% drops, and they're like, okay, pause. This virus of ours is actually crushing our computers and our total infrastructure in a way that I think that it's kind of cool. I was talking to my brother-in-law about this, to where we might get to a point where we live in 20 to 30 years from now in a completely different way than we could have. I remember my grandma talking about her, no. Because my mother-in-law said that her mom used to hand wash their Ziploc bags because she went through the Great Depression. She had seen that, where it was we need to keep this. Why throw it away? To where now we have paper plates and shit. We're just getting rid of everything. And you go to the store and there's no toilet paper, but there's a ton of napkins and paper towels. I don't know why those would work.
Maybe we'll adapt to using paper towels to wipe our asses.
Why not, man?
No, you make a lot of great points there, and I think it is sort of a wake-up call. And no matter how isolationalist any country tries to be, this is the first time where it's we are all connected, and there is. So it's whatever you feel about the planet, it's it's the only one we have, and all this sort of shows how dire it is. But the Fight Club analogy is this song is Fight Club. This is exactly what it is. Now I really want to.
I was gonna say instead of actual fighting, they're actually doing rhyme battles. Is from what I remember on this.
Oh, that's a great sketch. Yeah.
As long as Bob still has big tits, I'm down.
This guy's always like, I'm surprised, Donny, you don't have a tape recorder. Note to self, Fight Club, but with rhymes.
Yeah. My brain just thinks that way.
Note to self, 8 Mile, but Fight Club. Fight Club Mile. Yeah.
Right.
Wait. The
I
Fight Mile
ticket.
8 Club. Yeah. All right. Enough of that.
Yeah. Rolls off the tongue.
So Donny, early in this show, he mentioned something about fear. Well, he kind of jumped the gun a little bit. This is a band called At the Gates. They get credited for inspiring that Swedish death metal sound that still runs prevalent to this day. And the song's called Blinded by Fear. And here are the lyrics. No, I'm not going to sing like that. Born of the demon sky, twisting reality, sweet nauseating pain. Is death the only release? That's what we talked about earlier, right? Nauseating pain. By the way, even though these are death metal lyrics, I like to think that they're a little bit more deeper than that. These are pretty simple if when you read them out loud. They're like so generic. It might as well be.
Yeah, these sound like side effects.
Like what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
No,
Don,
yeah,
I missed it. What was that?
Oh no, these all read like side effects of yeah.
Side effects include death being the only release.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's like the little help drop down that you click, and it's like, is death the only release? Oh no, it's nauseating pain. Oh, yeah. Good.
Dude, are you
That's
born
hilarious.
From the demon sky? Do you twist reality? You might have to take Allegra.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what this is. It's an ad.
Do you feel nauseous? But wait, is it a sweet nauseating pain?
This is literally a sketch. This is literally a commercial parody.
Oh my god. The face of all your fears unleashed. The face of all your fears. And I think this is the bridge up here. I cast aside my chains, fall from reality, suicidal disease. Like 2-word lines, stanzas, whatever you want to call them. 2 words, that's all you need. And of course, they're growling the whole time. So yeah, I think the growling just makes it more like, I think it purposely makes it sound like it's more in depth than that. Because let me see. I cast aside my chains, fall from reality, suicidal disease. The face of all your fears, now covered with sores, humanity exiled. And again, we're talking about, I've heard estimates that 50, 60, 70% of the population is going to get this disease one way or another. Doesn't mean we're all going to die, not like the Bad Religion song was kind of insinuating here. But it's what Donny, I wanted to just mention, because Donny mentioned it earlier, that it's fear, like Raging Against the Machine. Donny just keeps reading my mind. They have a song called Vietnam where at the end they're saying, fear is your only God. That's all. I mean, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, but sometimes we kind of worship it, and we're seeing it unfold in front of us with the grocery store wars where people go in there. It's like you know what it is? It's like a Black Friday on crack cocaine, and it involves toilet paper. So I feel Donny had this one earlier today. Austin, care to piggyback off of any of that?
Dude, I'm still trying to extrapolate something out of this that's poignant. I mean, like, it's kind of brutal, just sweet, nauseating pain. Is death the only release? I feel like in any film or in any movie, you're gonna watch somebody that's just like, just let me die, just give it to me. I don't know. It's just a brutal song. It's kind of cool. I wish I knew it better so I could hear it in my head while I'm like reading this.
I could play it, but I don't want to get sued by anybody. So I would love to just willy-nilly just take songs off YouTube and just play it for you guys here. I don't think we're allowed to do that though. I'm just gonna play it safe. I'm pretty sure people are yelling, "No, it's fine. You could do it because you're not blah 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 blah." But I ain't no lawyer. It's I'm pretty sure when Austin says brutal, he means BROOTAL, not the other kind of brutal. That's
like the Nathan Explosion brutal.
Yeah, Donny, I know you mentioned a lot of this stuff earlier today, but you care to put a big exclamation point to this segment about the songs?
Yeah, I think it's important with and it probably doesn't exist a lot in like metal music, but I think optimism, like you can be like confronted with like these big ideas that it's never going to change. There's nothing you can do and you're hopeless. But I mean, that's kind of why we keep living, right? It's just, if we're not optimistic, at least like, what are we, why isn't every song like that? Why isn't Billie Eilish singing about humanity exile? So yeah, it's interesting. And, I would be interested to see their discography and see if they have anything else. Cause I mean, you can't have like every song about
It is. I mean, the album's called Slaughter of the Soul, so I could have picked that song too and read lyrics there, but I kind of like this one because of the whole notion that, I mean, this pandemic has people at their max reaching point where rationale is converging with insanity. And I mean, and it's funny, I went grocery shopping last Wednesday. Nothing out of the ordinary. Next day, I'm seeing my Facebook feed and I'm seeing social media telling me how we're running out of food, the shelves are bare, everybody's hoarding, and like, why? I mean, food isn't meant to last forever. You consume it right away. That's why people go grocery shopping every 3 to 5 days, maybe weekly at the most, maybe every 2 weeks if you really want to stretch your dollar, I guess. But eventually that food's going to go bad, and that food could have been serving better purpose elsewhere. I know canned items last a little longer, but you're not going to go through 10 cans of tomatoes. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
So, well, I don't know. Austin, you're a family man. Do you go grocery shopping every 3 to 5 days or weekly, or I don't know how? He has to think about it. Oh my God. I think I broke Austin.
Dude, I can't. Something happened. What you were saying was fractured. I just
okay.
You asked me if I go shopping.
Grocery shopping.
That's what I got out of that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I do. And I don't know, man. It was pretty heavy out there. Everybody's in like survival mode, and it's crazy. It's funny that you think of canned foods like that's like your last, like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna last forever and ever. And you think of like all the like comical points in movies where like they're just like fine canned foods. Or I always think of some stupid is and it's not, maybe it doesn't have to do with like a virus or whatever, but The Road, I don't know why that's always stuck with me. It's just such a dreary film, and he's with his son, and it's like this dystopian point where a lot of people are dead. It's not really explained in the film. I haven't read the book, but they come up on this vending machine, and his son, who was born into this area, into this like life, it tries to explain to him what like a soda is. And it's kind of cool that, you know, like that whole, like everything is like contained in this little, like, you know, in this, you're not going to open up a bag of Fritos, or you know what I mean? Like it could have been popped, but this can is preserved of this, like this old point in your life where you're like, oh yeah, we used to get soda all the time. And now this is just like this rarity that you find. And I think that like canned goods are always like a movie staple, to where that's what they're stocking up on.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I don't know. I really like that part. You know, like the kid tastes it, and like not to just go off on another thing, but it makes me think of Micho Black when he eats peanut butter for the first time as Satan. Like, it's like this weird thing of like, I don't know what this is gonna be. Like, how do I give like this euphoric taste or look?
And of course, if Zombieland, that statement was the chase was for Twinkies. So
yeah, exactly.
So was the food. Question for both of you guys. We'll start with Donny first. Would you agree that a lot of these apocalyptic movies end pretty much in a happy ending, or is it just the end like that movie from Semi-Sonic? The end is how does it go? I'm blanking out here. But you know what I'm trying to say. Is it just the start of something new at this point? I guess what I'm trying to really do is there a light at the end of the tunnel and have movies, have they shown us that light before, and can we expect the same from these apocalyptic movies to imitate real life, I guess?
Yeah, I get, it's weird because when I think of movies like this, rarely, like 12 Monkeys, I don't think is a happy ending. I don't remember, but none of them, I guess, I can't really think of any where it is. There's always like a wink and a nod, right? Like even if there is resolution, then they'll show, like, did any of you watch The Outsider?
Yeah, dude, the
Any-
book's
yeah.
great. Yeah, I'm watching that. So good.
Okay, but I don't want to spoiler it for any, but I think a lot of like Stephen King or just period, like those type of movies, a lot of it, there will be like, we overcame this, and then like one last thing to show maybe we didn't. It always is there. And I think that that's as much as movies like that gets to a point of like, hey, everything's going to be all right, but don't, and I think it's a nod to, yeah, like, don't forget that this happened, it can happen again, and keep going. And if we ignore it, yeah, I mean, I think Stephen King on the nose has a bit, like, The Stand is literally about this.
Right.
But I think he has a lot of elements in his other stories too that rings true to all this.
Same question for you, Austin. Is there a reason? Has Hollywood, has novels, have any of this shown us that there is that light at the end of the tunnel that we can kind of hold not to repeat myself, but kind of hold a light to? Like, you know what? It's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this. Or is it the opposite, that we are pretty much trained to expect the worst at all times at this point?
No, I think.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that I like what you brought up with 12 Monkeys, how there's kind of a wink and a nod at the end. Like, that was derived from La Jetée, where obviously I won't give it away, but like this thing that's being feared, this character's entire life, is then played out at the end, and there's an understanding, but there's also resolution, in that death. One that I was going to bring up that they keep trying to make a TV show. It's called Why the Last Man. It's a graphic novel, and the whole concept is every single anything living, animal and man, with a Y chromosome is killed except for these two people, a guy and his pet monkey. And the story plays out to where he's trying to get to some type of rescued area or somewhere that he can be safe. And it's funny when you watch all these movies about a virus, we blame the government, or it also touches on religion, that there's an elitism or a certain class or sex that rises above it, that we think God had this plan for us, or the government did this for some reason, we made the snap and 15% died, and now we're going to learn from this problem, or a giant, octopus gets dropped on New York City, and now, we all come together as a nation. Like, there's so many different, I think, movies and ideas to where they're saying that through these giant problems that we're put against, we will come together as a society, or we'll learn from it, instead of like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, where we're just slowly being picked off because of something that we created out of hope that we can help ourselves. I think that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but I think it's a train coming.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, I was expecting a more sunny side disposition, but I too was thinking there was a train coming. But
that's not. I don't feel that way. I love hearing that.
No, I
like the end.
I'm a pessimist by nature, so yeah. When you said train, like, well, if Austin's saying this, it's just it must be true. Something that kind of what you guys were talking about, your examples. I also thought about the Postman, not the Kevin Costner movie, but the novel that was based off that he based it off of by the novelist David Brin, and in that society, everything just got toppled over completely. Like, any semblance of the previous civilization is pretty much gone. They don't explain what happened to get to where we are in the book, but the one thing that the main character kept bringing up and insisted on doing, not just as a survival tactic, but also just as a way for people to bring their morale up, was to pretend that he was the postal service and just deliver mail, because that is still a semblance of the previous life that people all agreed that yes, we need this to return. We need this back. We desperately need it just to kind of remind ourselves what we are capable of. That we were able to create this system of communication exchange, person to person. So just kind of transition from there, Donnie. Since I want to hear your thoughts on this. What are we gonna lose because of this virus, this pandemic? What do you foresee us? Something that we take for granted now that you can easily foresee we're not gonna have in the next year or so, or maybe 5 years or so.
Probably a lot of unwanted pregnancies because nobody's gonna want to touch each other. But jokes aside, it made me think of like in the last segment of Demolition Man when they remember how they have sex and it's non-contact touching.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That is utterly. I say it in jest, but I do think that there is. While panic hookups could happen, I do think that there's going to be a little bit more apprehension too of just even casual contact. So I think people will be a little bit more aware. But on the bigger scale of what we'll actually lose is I think we are going to, whether it's called a recession or not, it's going to go back to cutting the fat and washing Ziploc bags Austin said that his grandmother did.
Mother-in-law.
So I think there's going to be a lot more. Just Tony, I don't think we're going to lose anything per se, but a lot of it, and even in sports, I think that what's great about this is great for the NBA in the sense of you play too many games already. This is good for baseball. You play too many games already. Is it necessary? And I think companies and stuff questioning all that. And so I think we're going to lose some of the fat that maybe we should have, looked at across the board, certainly in entertainment, I think.
Interesting. It's very interesting. That's a good way. I never thought about it that way. It's you're cutting fat, but in the end, it's for the greater good. Where right now it's all about volume. It's all about how many widgets can we move, how many
right
can we get out of you.
Right.
And sometimes less is more, and we're
and the hope is to right.
Go ahead, Donnie. Go ahead.
No. And I think in music too, you'll see a lot of I think it's going to be interesting moving forward with Coachella rescheduling and South by Southwest. And, I wonder if these bands, tickets and t-shirts is the only way you make money in music as a musician. So I think that industry is going to be really shaped by this because the whole point is festivals saved music once they stopped losing all their publishing money and CD sales and stuff. So now I think that industry is probably going to be in a real panic because, do I want to be around 100,000 other people where, we're living in the moment, carefree, some of us drunk, some of us on drugs, some of us high on music. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens to that industry because sporting events, it's not, there's maybe a high five or the wave, but you're a little distance, whereas music, dancing, pushing up against each other, touching. So I don't know. It'll be an interesting event.
I mean, shoot, I've been to Thrice concerts with you. I've been to other punk rock shows, and I go in there looking nice, and I go out of there drenched in sweat and other people's sweat and other people's blood, and I'm limping out. It could be pretty. It's a hell of a workout to say the least, and I can only imagine that being magnified 100 times over when you go to places like Coachella and I was gonna say Woodstock, but that's not happening anytime soon either.
Guar shows, yeah.
Or Guar shows. Why don't you tell people, Austin? Why don't you extrapolate a little bit about the War shows, or the Guar show? Sorry.
Oh gosh. There's a I can't remember this Asian lady's name. She's a comedian, but they cut her head off at a concert, and blood immediately just started shooting into the crowd. I mean, they're just a gimmicky, fun band. They're metal, and they dress up in costumes and shoot bullets out of cannon. I mean, it's fun.
I also
else do
heard
you
that
need?
they vomit on
They're
people too.
entertainers.
Do they also vomit on people too, Austin? Or is that just a rumor?
I didn't get any, but I wasn't like close into the splash zone. You know, I was a little farther back.
So they're basically the Gallagher of rock music. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, the blood Gallagher.
Great. Yeah, the DNA, as much DNA as possible everywhere. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're at that point of the show. I think this is.
I think it's funny that you said that about keeping people out of, crowds or how you're going to do that. I just read an article about how this like DNC, like the Democratic debate, went so much better. I didn't even actually watch it, but how there wasn't anyone in the crowd to like boo or like kind of influence these types of things that normally you would have people chanting or whatever, after a 3 or 4 phrase, I love America, and then everybody's just wow. Like, do we need that when we're watching a debate? Do we really need them to say some weird like hello Chicago, and then everybody screams, and you're like what is this what we paid for? I think that, like you said, trimming the fat and getting to more bare bones, or I feel like people are going to appreciate less bullshit and less fluff and more conciseness.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Just like you said, like we might come in. I think that I take it as watching movies from the 80s and 90s to where you're like, how in the hell did they make Harry and the Hendersons? And John Lithgow was like, oh, hell yeah, I will make that movie. I will be in that movie, right? And compared to like what I was talking before, where he's in Planet of the Apes and he's got Alzheimer's, and you're like, God, this guy's killing it. Like, he's just so good.
Yeah.
Like we're making that transition to where I think that there's more seriousness and there's more point to things. And hopefully that does come. We get to laugh and have fun, and there's still Pineapple Express. But I think that we might need a little more seriousness, coming out of this.
What about pen, pineapple, apple pen?
What's that?
Pen, pineapple, apple pen? Can that come back too, or no? Okay, so you guys. Okay, never mind. That internet joke right there. Sorry. It's a video.
No idea what you're saying.
You guys never heard of pen, pineapple, apple pen? What show is this?
Still no. I will look it up. I'll do my best.
Sure, go ahead.
I've got time.
Sure, yeah, but that's the thing. We have time now. We can't go to our. Well, I'm still working, but most people can do the normal stuff that they normally can do. But I think to piggyback off of what you guys just said, I think I'm looking forward to the point where we're going to go a little bit backwards just so we can all move forward again, as hokey and cliche as that sounds. But I think this is unnecessary, that we have already too many things going on at once. And I think a more simpler way of living, we were due for it anyway. So hopefully what you guys just said comes to fruition. And I think this is a good place to stop. Donny, any last words from you?
No, everybody's just calls that person you haven't talked to in a while. Reconnect, remember why we're in here, why we want to save society, right? All that. But, we're going to get through this, and we've gotten through literally everything else. So this won't be different, but it's going to get much more scarier than not. And check me out. Add me on @DonnyRad on Instagram or Twitter. I'm a little bit more active there, but I just I took a little break from social media while like Super Tuesday was happening and this was about to kick off. I took a couple weeks off because I was like, I need to like take a step away. But now I'm back on because there's nothing to do for 2 months. So yeah, add me @DonnyRad.
And Austin, last words from you.
Dude, I don't have any last words. I don't know. Have fun, guys. Watch a lot of movies and TV like I'm doing. Catch up on all those shows that people have been telling you, like, you gotta watch this. Like, dude, I don't have time. You have time. So
you have time now,
quit
yeah.
lying to us.
And listen, if you're in the kitchen, you should have plenty of time there too for seasoning and salt and pepper. Listen, we over at the Pop Culture Life Facebook group, obviously this is where we are being hosted at. This is where we live. People have just been asking for it, and people have been giving everybody recommendations left and right, up, down. So check us out there at the Pop Culture Life Facebook group, part of the Life Group Facebook collection of Facebook groups that we have. We have like 36 now. We have 36. No, we have a lot, but I sometimes can't keep up with all of them. But yeah, Austin mentioned recommendations. We got you covered there. We'll tell you what to watch, when to watch it, and how to watch it. Someone even asked, how do you watch the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe? I'm like, just do Quentin Tarantino style. Just watch it at random. Who gives a fuck? It's just Spanish movies. Oh, Austin, give me a look. Austin, is there a certain way you like to watch the MCU on your end?
Oh, well, with my son, we're pretty much subjected to Thor Ragnarok and Thor Ragnarok only on repeat. But
okay,
if I could throw something else in there, I will. But we're on a steady dose of Thor Ragnarok right now.
Oh man! Hey, listen, guys, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming at the last minute. I do apologize for the last minute announcement, but I thank you so much for coming on board.
I'll check out Thor Ragnarok.
Guys, I'm sorry. Is that you wanted all my MCUs? That's it, man. That movie's rad. I mean, I just watched Endgame the other day just to catch up. But
how come that never got to be a genre of music? Ragnarok? Is it like post? No.
What's that?
I was asking how come that never got to be a genre of music? Ragnarok? Just let it linger. You got post-rock, Ragnarok. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dude,
Yeah.
you're chippering, you're cutting. Hey, I will tell you that Thor Ragnarok was made by Taika Waititi, who just won. I think that he just got one of the Oscars for his Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, that's the screenplay.
Dude, if you have a chance to watch What We Do in the Shadows, like the movie, do that. You have time. It's super good. Him and Jermaine Clement wrote it together. It's hilarious. It's good.
Well, be sure to recommend that in the Facebook group. Gentlemen, pleasure. Everybody else, have a good night. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks.